Wednesday, November the 4th. Lake level's come up about a foot since our last fishing report. It's a little over 9:15. Looks like they started dumping some water. They must have been dropping Beaver Lake down, and that's what's brought Table Rock up. But it looks like they started generating some water late last night and into today. So I don't know, if it's going to come up or down, but it hadn't been changing very rapidly one way or the other. But the water temperature's cooling down pretty good. The water temperature today was mid-60s, or I should say yesterday. It was mid-60s, and I was in the Kimbling City area. And a few days before that, I was up in the White River. It seemed about 66, 67. So that water temperature's cooling down. There's been a lot of things happening. Seems to be a little bit better topwater bites. That the whopper plopper and buzzbait bites still happening. You got to cover a lot of water, like we talked about before. One day they'll be on chunk rock banks. Next day they'll be on gravel, and anywhere from the mouths of the pockets back into the creek. But I've been seeing a lot more schooling fish the last few days. Seen some up around Kimbling City, some up in the Mid-James area. And I had a buddy text me some pictures of some real big white bass that they caught that were mixed in with largemouths. They got into a group schooling up there in the river. So with that water temperature cooling down, one thing that should really come on strong and stay better till that water gets into the 50s is the wigglewort bite, or the rock crawler. Let's see, I got a couple here somewhere. But just covering a lot of water with these as well. But as that buzzbait bite and whopper flopper bite kind of slow down, you might try the crankbait. And even if there's two of you in the boat, I'd have one guy throwing a topwater on a lot of them banks, and another guy following them up with either a rock crawler or a wigglewort. And mainly I'd use, crawdad patterns for the colors. A lot of the buzz baits I'm throwing, pretty much just throwing two different buzz baits. I'm throwing a white with a silver blade. This is a War Eagle. And I usually always use a trailer hook on my buzz baits. I'm using a 3/8 ounce or a half. This is another War Eagle here, black with a gold blade. And I've been throwing this one that Crocker Gator makes. And I've got a little different trailer hook on it. Instead of a trailer hook like that with the plastic keeper, I got these at Sportsman a couple weeks ago, and Jim told me to give them a try. But it's actually got like a little piece of line that comes off that you wrap around the hook, and it doesn't get hung up on the plastic. It's been working pretty good for me. The only thing you got to do is you got to make sure you get it on right so it's in line with this other hook. But on this Crocker Gator bait, what I like about it is if you bend the blade in just a little bit, it'll take and hit the head of the bait. It just depends what kind of noise you want. If you want it quieter, you can just bend it away. The baits seem to run real straight. Been having good luck with them. And another thing you can do too, sometimes the wind's blowing, you have a little trouble throwing a buzzbait. You'll hear of a lot of people throwing a frog behind the buzzbait, like a horny toad. If you take the skirt off, put a horny toad on there, you can fire these things about another 30, 40 feet further, and you won't have trouble with them, with your reels backlashing in the wind. Now, I said, like on the crankbaits, I'm throwing a crankbait, the buzzbait, and the whopper plopper, kind of all in the same area. And I've been throwing, like for some of my clients that don't throw a bait caster very much, I've been throwing a small whopper plopper as well. I think it's a 90 series. But I've been throwing it in a bone color, in a white, or a monkey butt's another color. But what I'm doing, I'm throwing it on 20-pound braid on a spinning rod, where I don't have to worry about losing the lure. And like I say, people that aren't used to casting a bait caster, the smaller whopper plopper works out real good on a spinning rod. Although I seem to be catching a little bit bigger fish on the bigger bait, we are catching more fish on the smaller whopper plopper, just not the size. More numbers, not as big. Bigger fish are coming on the full size plopper. Also, they're biting a jointed redfin some, and a wiggle wart. I mean, not the wiggle wart, a spook. But something I hadn't mentioned at all too is it's a pretty good drop shot bite going on. It seems like on these main lake gravel points, I've done it up in the Shell Knob area, Baxter, Kimberling area, and down by the dam. Seems like in the morning the fish are about 25 feet deep, and then after a couple hours they get out a little bit deeper, around 35 feet. And some are on the bottom and some are just on the edge of the points where it rolls off into deeper water. But it seems like once that sun gets up good, 35 foot seems to be the key depth, whether I'm on the bottom or if I'm out over 50, 60 foot. They seem to be suspended out there. Now, there's a lot of fish out there. We had a trip up there the other day, a buddy of mine and I, and between the two of us, we had like a little over 50 fish in 4 hours. Now, a lot of them were short fish, but, you know, it was a lot of fun, a lot of 13, 14-inch fish. But it seems like it's hard to catch the quality out there like you can up on the bank. It's kind of like if you go to the bank, throw the whopper plopper in the wiggle wart or a rock crawler, you're going to catch better quality, but you're not going to get near the action. If we get out there deep and looking for them suspended fish, drop shot fish, you get a lot more numbers of fish, just not the size. And what I've been throwing out there on a drop shot is a little chompers, 4-inch plum. This is a little hand pour that my buddy makes for me. It's plum also. And then the chompers, brown, purple, laminated. About the only 3 worms I usually throw drop shot. And if somebody else in the boats catch them on a green pumpkin or watermelon better than I'll catch them on that one, I'll swap. But for the most part, it doesn't matter what the water clarity is, those 3 will usually do the job for me. So I've been playing with some new braided line on my spinning rods as far as with drop shot and stuff. So next week I'm going to give you a more detailed report of what I like and don't like on it and how I've been rigging it up. So till next week, good luck, good fishing.